Hello and welcome to the Fit News Podcast. I am your host, Jen Shaver. And before I introduce our special guest for today, I want to remind you to head on over and grab your free protein cheat sheet today, featuring 30 foods with 30 grams of protein or more, designed to curb those afternoon cravings that often sabotage those weight loss goals. These options will help you stay fuller longer and avoid getting hangry and eating everything in the pantry when you get home from work. So head on over to workwithjenshaver.com to grab it today or check the show notes for the link. Now, joining me today is Kathy Prohoff. She lives in the city of Fullerton in sunny Southern California and has been married for over 25 years to her husband, Ben. And together they have 3 adult children, 1 daughter and 2 sons. Kathy has worked as a personal trainer, nutrition health coach, and a group exercise instructor for over 40 years, and has fully transitioned her focus in 2018 to helping women over 40 achieve their best body and lifestyle transformations in her online program, the Superstar Elite. The 2 big key changes that women over 40 can make in terms of achieving better overall health and fitness results is to prioritize their nutrition habits with more daily protein and whole food choices, along with adding strength training protocol to their workout routines to maintain and build lean muscle. Kathy, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm so excited to be here. This is
Yes. Yeah. So you have over 30 years of experience in fitness and nutrition, and you've kind of seen the industry evolve in many ways. So what motivated you in 2018 to kind of make this transition to focus fully, specifically helping women over 40 and, with your Superstar Elite program?
It's a great question. I'll back up a little to when I first became
Hmm.
really obsessed with this whole topic of taking life and taking our health as importantly as it should be taken. And when I learned at a young age how important strength training was, this was just in my young years when I wanted to lose the weight and look good, right? And
Yeah.
but I had no idea the impact it was going to make on my body as I was going into obviously midlife. So
Hmm.
for my own experience, I saw the the perks of having more strength and training like I was as I was going through perimenopause and as I was passing 40. And in that I was starting to see that happen with the women that I was working with. So it just was a natural transition. I believe for myself, my own results helped
Hmm.
kind of spur that next step. And there was a lack of information, and these women were just lost on what do I do? And all the information that they were turning to was from programs that we've all followed, dieting and exercise that led to maybe more hormonal issues in the long run. So
Right.
yeah, just my own experience and then seeing what was actually happening around me.
Right, right. Because so many times women are following that special diet that they found in the magazine at the grocery store, right? When you're at the checkout.
Oh yeah,
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 that's my favorite, and it has them eating 1,200 calories and have this grapefruit for breakfast.
yeah, the
You know?
best.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they can't understand, well, I'm doing this, Jen or Kathy, and why aren't I getting results, right? And it's yeah. So it's
It,
crazy because we know that nutrition for women over 40, and you and I both emphasize the importance of these nutrition habits, right? And particularly increasing that protein and choosing whole foods. So maybe
yes.
let's kind of go down that rabbit hole and maybe share some insights into how these dietary changes specifically benefit women in this age group, and maybe some tips that we can incorporate into these habits for the busy women.
Great. I love that. And especially the busy women, because who isn't busy at
Hmm.
this stage of life?
Well, that's just it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these women are at the point where they are, maybe they're at the pinnacle of their career, right? So they're busy with that. They might also be busy with their own kids. And then they might also be busy dealing with an older adult that they're caring for. So yeah, busy is probably the understatement of the year when we are describing this age group.
Yeah, the busyness, the stress, and
Hmm.
the desire to lose this weight because the
Hmm.
body's, obviously changing and
Yeah.
the fat is moving
Hmm.
into another area that we're not really so excited about in the midsection. So what I found is it's such a common problem where I find that most women believe that it's just them, but it is really just every woman that we speak with at this stage of life. Most of them are
Right.
dealing with it, whether they had weight problems before or not. It's just a different body, for the
Yeah.
lack of a better
Yeah.
word. But yeah, most of them come in worrying, like you says, about counting calories or following this diet, whatever the fad diet of the
Mhm.
moment is. Obviously, it's all based on restricting calories or food groups or what have you. And yeah, it leads
Mhm.
to temporary weight loss. But many of these women don't even realize what that weight loss is, what happens to their bodies as they're losing that weight quickly and desperately as they are. So maybe
Right.
eating more of the processed foods, diet foods, foods that aren't sustainable, and they're then left craving more. So the
Right.
first step is just, when I speak to someone who's struggling here, is just to have her start to track her foods.
Yeah.
um, I just say, for no reason of trying to be good or follow anything, just see
Uh-huh.
what's happening. It's like bringing the data and just looking at all the information.
Hmm.
And in that, the biggest tell is usually their protein, because
Yep.
she's usually choosing more of the highly processed foods, carbohydrates, high fat foods, quick foods, or on the opposite side of it, just skipping meals altogether.
Yeah. Skipping breakfast. A lot of them will skip breakfast, right?
Yeah,
I'm rushing out the door. I grab my cup of
yeah,
coffee and that's it. And I'm good. And you know what? I really don't notice it. I'm good. I don't need
yeah.
breakfast, right?
Until later.
Right?
Until the day goes on and all of a
Uh-huh.
sudden, what is
Uh-huh. And
happening?
that's just it. Once we dive deeper and we ask them, well, what does your afternoon or what does your evening look like? Right?
It's the same
And then,
story. Yep,
uh-huh,
the same
uh-huh.
story. And yet every
Yeah,
every one of us thinks it's just me. It's just,
yeah,
I'm not good at having willpower.
yeah.
I'm not good at being able to restrict these calories, but it's just the body's way of saying, please feed me. Please
Right.
give me some adequate nutrition.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's not that we don't have the ability. It's just we're not doing it properly, and we
Right.
haven't been taught. It's really not. I find in this generation, we
Mhm.
haven't been taught.
Well, that's just it. Right. It goes back to that diet that was in the back of the magazine that says have a grapefruit for breakfast, which, or have a grape, half of it, and that has no protein. That is nothing that's going to sustain you, first of all. And then the low calories. And I think you and I both know that a lot of times when women do restrict their calories, the first nutrient that they lose is the protein.
100%. Yep. Yeah, it's already low, and
Hmm.
so yeah, then it's just another problem. It just continues to evolve.
Right.
Uh, and but for the busy woman, that becomes another problem, because we're already busy. We're
Yeah.
already trying to manage so many roles and
Hmm.
take care of so many other people and life, that it just feels like another job, and it
Yep.
feels too much. So it is easier to just skip a meal and maybe think about, I'll do it later.
Uh-huh.
But I have to say, the biggest, if someone is struggling with that, is to find something that you can start the day off that is simple, whether you have a plan for it the night before, which is always the best thing, because
Oh,
morning comes
yeah.
and it just go,
Right,
right?
right, right. It's just
Right.
like setting your clothes out the night before,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's the
yeah.
same thing. It's just prepare the night before, you know?
Yeah, but make it simple. Don't make it
Right,
overwhelming.
right.
I think we tend to want to do it all perfectly and exact. Just start with one thing. Like, what
Yep,
can I handle tomorrow? What sounds good for me to eat that has it's protein rich?
yep,
If somebody likes eggs, great. You can make an egg scramble, maybe have a piece of toast with avocado, and
yeah.
whatever, you can have that. And if you don't have the time for that, maybe you make yourself a shake. What I recently actually was listening to another podcast and I heard this recipe. So I made it this week and I've been sharing it with my clients. So I'll share
Yeah.
it. I thought it
Oh,
was so
great.
easy, right?
Yeah.
And you might have already been doing this, but it was a cup or a cup and a half of almond milk. So you pour this into a blender,
Yeah.
or any kind of milk, really, whatever you like. A scoop of protein powder, so find one that you enjoy, and then either a shot of espresso if you like your coffee, or a cup of coffee. Blend it up, and then heat it up on the stove, and it's like this amazing, like frothy cappuccino type of,
Oh,
and it's protein rich, right? So
yeah.
there's no excuse. Like take that, throw that in the blender, warm it up. You got
Right.
you got to get on the road. You have your coffee, and then maybe you go to work and you have planned to bring a piece of toast with avocado, so you get a little bit more of your
Right.
good energy, carbs, and healthy fats. So you
Right.
have everything, and you will feel that energy. Might not take one day, but if you're continuous over the course of a few days, you
Right.
start to feel that stress, even that stress that happens later in the day,
Hmm.
just be a little diminished, just slightly. And it's a start.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I know the ladies that I work with when we start, protein is where we start.
Yeah.
And they'll say after a week of focusing on making sure at breakfast that they're getting that protein, that they notice an absolute difference.
Hmm.
And it's something, I don't want to call it simple, but you know, it really is if you take the time to focus and plan on it, and
Yeah,
it makes such a difference.
it does. It's just the one thing. Yeah. If
Yeah.
you don't have
Yeah.
time for all the things, just start there.
Yep.
Right. It's just
Yep.
like you said, it's not simple, but it's not overcomplicated either. You don't have to
Right.
go, have the energy to do all the other activities and whatever else and meal prep, but because it can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
Start there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That is the best place to start. So yeah, exactly. I would say to anybody that's listening that is struggling, start with that protein rich
Yeah.
breakfast, and like you said, it doesn't have to be, a 4-course meal. It
Mm-mm.
something as simple as, like you said, the scoop of protein powder with the milk, blend it up.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. Go online, look things up, find what you like to eat or drink
Exactly.
or whatever, and how can you increase that protein and be
Yeah,
creative, have some fun. Maybe you come up with something that nobody's ever put together yet, and
exactly.
you could share
Yeah.
a new idea.
Yeah.
Another reason why it is so important is obviously now at this stage after 35, 40, where we've been building up, our body's been building up this muscle. Well, now we're in the decline stage. So it's another reason, not just to have the lack of cravings later in the day and
Right.
to, have better results as we're looking to achieve, weight loss and fat
Hmm.
loss, but really to help preserve the muscle mass that we have
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And then later, once you're able to, if you're not doing the activities and workouts now, at least preserving here what's what we need to preserve, fighting
Right.
for what we need to hold on to, and then
Right.
later, hopefully building back what has been lost.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, that takes us into the next thing I want to chat about, which is strength training's role, right? Because we know that strength training is the cornerstone of, your recommended and my recommended fitness protocol for women
yes.
over 40 and aiming to maintain and build lean muscle. So let's kind of chat about, how strength training becomes increasingly important as we age and how women maybe new to strength training can start integrating into their routines.
Yeah, and this topic usually makes women very nervous
Oh
if they've
yeah.
never done this before. It just
Yep.
feels like, nope, like I
Right.
don't
Well,
want to
right,
talk
because
about
I
this.
never had to do that in the past, right?
Yeah,
So why
this
why
is
do I
not.
need to do that now?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm of this age and this is dangerous. All
Yeah.
the things. I
Hmm.
had my grandmother telling me, "Oh, Kathy, you should really be careful. You're lifting. And it's just that mentality, and I can't blame her for wanting to, keep me safe.
Right.
But you know, how am I going to explain that this is, aside from the fact of, if she wanted to hear a little bit more about why I'm doing this, I know for her, she was just nervous, but
Yeah.
it just goes back to what has been taught over the years. And now, like how I was introduced to the weight room. I mean, I was in my early 20s. I doing all these cardio and dieting, like we've
Yeah.
seen so many of our clients struggling with. And
Mhm.
I had a mentor that I absolutely just was so impressed with her physique. She just was. She was a trainer. She just looked amazing. She was the epitome of health to me and everything I wanted. And I said, "Teach me what you know." And she marched into the weight room where I was like, "What is happening? There's just
Yeah.
men.
Why
That's
are we
just
in here?
yeah." So I mean, I could understand that fear because I was like that deer in headlights and like, oh my gosh, they're all looking at me. So again, just like with the food, starting something new, any type of challenge that maybe you've never experienced something in that realm before, and it sounds like ridiculous and crazy. Just start with what you can. Take that first step.
Yeah.
Like a strength training, there's so many ways to strength train. It's
Yeah.
just creating that pressure to be able to build more muscle. I mean, in simplest terms, you don't have to go to the gym and lift a barbell if that's
Right.
not what you're interested in.
Right.
But you could just do something. You could do something at home with your body weight. You
Hmm.
know, just your body against gravity will be able to
Yeah.
make some changes and amazing changes, right? You
Yeah.
could go get some bands and use that resistance over time, maybe getting your own weights and dumbbells and kettlebells.
Right.
Maybe one day graduating the gym, maybe not. I have clients who do all of the above,
Right.
and there's no right or wrong answer. It's just starting, you know,
Hmm.
exactly wherever you are now and looking at, okay, what am I willing to do? What can I do? And maybe asking, you know, it's always helpful to ask somebody who, like I says, I hired my mentor when I was young. I had no idea
Right.
until I started to learn as well. So it takes that first step,
Yep.
maybe asking someone,
Mhm.
signing up for, you know, help
A
with a coach or
program.
trainer
Yeah.
or program, whatever, just
Yep.
getting that first step.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it changes everything. It really does.
Right. And, we know we talked about before the protein having that, the benefit of not just helping with our hunger level, but also helping maintain lean muscle. Well, the strength training not only helps to build and maintain the lean muscle, but it also helps with our bones and,
Mm,
making sure that our bones are strong as we age, which, geez,
so important.
it is, considering the risk of falling as we age. And, we know that that goes up
Yes.
and the devastation that can have if we don't have strong bones as we age and we do fall.
Hmm.
Yikes.
Yeah, working against the aging process is so much more important than just the aesthetics of wanting to look good and fit into a certain size. It's really about our life, and when you do look at the studies of how many you know of those that don't take action, sadly, have you know risk of osteoporosis, osteopenia, osteoporosis,
Right.
and then to fall and break or fracture a hip, the
Hmm.
mortality rate within that first year is it's a scary thing to
It
look
is.
at. It just makes it that much more important to spread that message, and it's never too late to start. I mean, my
Right.
mom's in her 70s and she's been listening to me forever and never really taking any importance of it, any thinking she even needed to do it, like thinking that I was the crazy one
Yeah.
a little bit, okay, she's outside the box, but her even starting to hear it. And then she found that was that what her name is Joan McDonald, Train with
Oh,
Joan.
yes. Train with
Yes,
Joan. Yes. Oh, she's
yes.
fantastic. Yeah.
And it just took her that connecting because I'm her daughter, and it's like, well, okay, what do you really? I
Right.
mean, I'm
Right.
this age. I'm how much older
Right.
than you? And
Right. Well, it's kind of
uh,
like when we as parents try to tell our kids something and they're
yes,
like, yeah, no, but then they go to the neighbor's house and they hear it and then they come home and they're like, hey, mom, the neighbor said to do this. And you're
what
going,
I
I've been
heard.
telling you to do it for 6 years, but
But that's what's happening because she's
Right.
telling me these things that I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? But it does, it takes that understand, like you feel somebody understands you. So
Right.
if these type of recommendations just sound out of, you know, just out of your realm of like,
Yeah.
I don't even know, maybe do some research into some of these studies and look at how important it is. Because again, it's not just for the aesthetics. I think
Right.
that's like you asked at the beginning, what led me into this? It's the importance of our life after 40. It's not
Right.
really about looking good anymore, which is great.
Right.
It's
Right.
almost it's just a
Side effect. Yeah.
side
Yeah.
effect of it, but it's our
Yeah.
life and being able
Right.
to move and not be, immobile, not being
Mhm.
able to get around as well and be able to heal better
Yeah.
and have a better immune system. There's so many
Yeah.
benefits,
Yeah.
just simplicity of the nutrition and the strength and the movement.
Right.
It's that
Yeah.
powerful.
It really is. And, it really comes down to the quality of life as you age. And, if you look around, whenever you go out in public and you find older adults, you can see that. And, I often find myself asking, saying to myself, geez, I don't want that. Do I want that? Nope, don't want that. How do we're all getting older, and aging is a privilege, quite frankly, because
Yes.
if we're not aging, we're 6 feet under.
Mhm.
So aging is a privilege. How we age is up to us. And the choices that we make, and we know, just like I said before, we say certain things to our kids. Actions have consequences, right? And inaction also has consequences. So if we choose not to take care of our bodies, then our bodies are not going to take care of us as we age. Now,
Exactly.
and it's how do you want to age? How, do you want to maintain your independence as you age?
Yes, yes. And then it's, yeah, it's men. I feel like when we get to this age as women, it's
Mhm.
hard to look at uh, what we're doing. I think there's a lot of misconceptions too, because like I'll talk to a lot of clients who maybe are comparing themselves with their spouse or,
Mhm.
their brother, somebody they know, a man at this stage that they don't have the same situation.
Right,
Uh, their hormones a little different. I mean, yes, yes, they do. They're also dealing with a lot of the
yeah,
similar breakdowns.
right,
However, we're obviously different. Our hormones are at an all-time high, dropping, declining, or going
right,
all over the place. So there's
right,
a lot of different changes and frustrations. But again, it's not that we're stuck, or we hear that excuse a lot, like, oh, here I guess I'm at the stage of life. I guess there's nothing I can do. Uh,
right,
there's
right.
always something you can do. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
yeah,
if you've never done anything before. It doesn't matter what age you are today. You can always do something. And, whether it's just the foods or, taking another step, there's always something.
right,
It could
right.
be difficult.
Right. And I think, along that note, when you're saying there's always something, you and I are not advocating for, turning your lifestyle upside down, you know, doing a few strength training movements, starting simple with maybe some squats or, just something simple. And then, like we said before, just start with that breakfast and adding the protein in the breakfast, making those small
Mhm.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's all you do for
Right.
now, and that might lead to something else, it might not, but just start with something.
Right.
Really the best. If this is something you're struggling with,
Hmm.
instead of just throwing up the hands in the air, which is an easy thing to do. I know I've
Yep.
always done that, but I don't know what to do.
Right.
Panic,
Yeah. And walk
overwhelmed.
away and say, oh, it'll take care of
Yeah,
itself. Well, it's not, and it's just going to get worse. So,
exactly. It's that much
here's
more.
some, I mean, I think if you were going to give two simple tips, you would
Mhm.
say what?
Oh, they just to start doing, I mean, do something. You just
Hmm.
start something. I mean, as simple as it can be, because I know that we won't take action if it feels hard. So what
Right.
sounds easy? And just
Yep.
like we mentioned, starting with breakfast, starting with drinking water. I mean, what
Yeah.
are the simple things we all know? We don't have
Yeah.
to go and relearn what to do. We all know what healthy is. We all
Right.
know the steps to take. Maybe take some more steps in your day. If you're
Yeah.
not ready to do strength training, start taking a little bit more steps in your day. Maybe track, how many steps am I getting? This is another good first step is, if you don't know your minimum daily steps, maybe get a tracker or even cheap little
Yes.
pedometer, or carry your phone and look up the health app
Yeah.
and look at your lowest step. I know I'll ask women, okay, what is your current step, daily step
Hmm.
average? And they'll say their highest number. And I go, okay, that's great. But what about on the low days when you're sitting more? Because we're more
Right.
sedentary.
Right.
And so they'll say something like, I'm so embarrassed about it, but maybe it's only like 1,200 steps. Great. Now aim for 1,500. Like
Right.
it's never stuck with, oh, this is embarrassing. I can't tell anybody, or there's nothing I can do.
Uh-huh.
Just do a little bit more. Just turn up that dial a little bit
Right.
more.
Right.
It'll feel easy, but
Yeah.
it's doable. Then you feel proud of that. And then you're
Hmm.
able to take the next step if you're ready.
Right.
Just
Right.
keep taking that next step. just
Yeah.
keep looking at what can I do right now,
Yeah.
today.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I was talking with a client the other day and we were going over her step count. And I said, imagine if you did 100 extra steps a day. At the end of the year, think of how many extra steps you will have done, right?
Yeah.
And 100 steps, you figure, you could get that in your house,
Mhm.
just going up and down your steps for 3 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's
Yet
a powerful
over
thought.
the over the
Mhm.
course of the year, if you did 100 extra steps,
Yes.
that's insane to me. That right there is insane to me
Mhm.
because that I feel is something that every single one of us can do.
Yes. Yeah, make it simple, but look at
Right.
the compound of the
That's
consistency.
just it. And I think that's where a
Yeah.
lot of people tend to, kind of get lost is they think, well, geez, that's dumb. What's 100 extra steps?
Mhm.
Back it up, Susie. I'm telling you to look at the entire year.
Yeah.
100 times 365.
Yes.
And
And
that's a powerful number.
that's a powerful, and if you look at it on the other side of the spectrum, or the side of the coin, we're never staying still. So we're either moving forward or moving away. So if
Uh-huh.
you're not taking those 100 extra steps, more than likely you're going to start to take less and less. So over the
Right.
course of the year, where you're going to end up. So there's two different paths.
Yep.
It's I can add another extra 100, or I don't know how much more sedentary I'm going to become, and then I'm going to have more issues, because
Yep.
then it leads into problems in how we move in our day, because now we are not activating muscles that are really getting a little lazier because we're sitting
Yeah.
more. Yeah, so
Exactly.
there's so many, but yeah, like there's like you said, the compound effect of the 100 extra steps a day.
Yeah.
If we look at it on the opposite side, what will happen if we don't? Because
Right.
we're not going to stay here, we're going to go backwards.
Yep. Yep. And maybe it's
Yeah,
you take, you break that 100 up and you take 50 in the morning and you take 50 at night. That's got to take maybe a minute
I know.
each, the 50 in the morning, right? You can't
Yes.
tell me you don't have 2 minutes because you spent how much time scrolling today,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
I think it's, when you break it down
Mhm.
into small actionable steps instead of making it so overwhelming,
Yeah.
and thinking that you have to do all the things, right?
Mhm.
But
It's funny you just said I have to as well, because I was speaking
Mhm.
with another client, and she says, "Okay, well, I want to know what to do, but I don't want to be told that I have to do this." And I said, I think at this stage of life, that's really that's understandable. I don't want
Right,
anybody to tell me what to do
right.
unless I choose to do something. I'm looking for that. So
Yep.
even inside of this episode of sharing this information,
Yeah.
I don't I don't think anybody should be told what to do. It should be
Hmm.
a personal decision of
Yep.
I need to do something, and
Yep.
what can I do? What do I choose to do? And how can I stay consistent to that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just it. It's finding, which I think is why it goes back to the small steps, right? Because the small steps are the things that you can remain consistent with.
Hmm. Yes.
You
100
know,
steps a
if
day, like
if
you
we
said.
were to tell somebody to go to the gym 5 days a week and they don't have that time, and boy, did they do a great job of it for the first 2 weeks,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
that wasn't something that was sustainable for them. And
Mm.
then what happens? Then they become, then they feel guilty. Oh, I'm a failure. I couldn't do it. But really, that's not the truth. The truth is that that wasn't something that was sustainable for them and their lifestyle. And so I think it's exactly like you said, it's finding
Mm.
what works for you personally.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
which goes to show you that it is helpful to have an accountability partner, whether it's a
Yes.
coach, whether it's a
Yep.
friend, whether your spouse, whoever, you find somebody to just stay accountable to and check in with, and
Mm-hmm.
have them say, did you do the things that you said you were going to do?
Right.
Not because you
Yeah.
have to, but because you wanted to, and then it's kind of a little check, like,
Right.
okay, I didn't do it all, but what can I do better next time? So not in terms, like you're saying, not in terms of, oh, no, gosh, I was so good the first 2 weeks. I
Yep.
did every day, and now I'm just terrible because I
Yeah.
didn't go one day. So just forget it.
Yep.
It's like that saying, I dropped my phone, so I might as well just jump on it and start, cracking it
Yeah.
because it's on the floor, I
Yeah,
mean, or just
right.
like, it's not even a problem, but we're making it a bigger problem because of the judgment and the negativity.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, that self, just caring a little bit more for what we're appreciating, what we're doing. Even listening to this episode and thinking, maybe this is something I'm interested in. And even that's a win, right?
Right,
It's
right.
all positive.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And, I really like that you mentioned the accountability partner because it doesn't have to be, and it doesn't even have to be like something, major. Back, in the fall, I have a friend who her and I set up, we decided that we both needed to work on our stress management, right? We had both fallen off the meditation train. And so we both said, and it wasn't like, anything big. We would just check to each other a thumbs up after we did, and I would do 2 to 5 minutes of, deep breathing or, whatever, just some type of relaxation. And she would do the same. We're both using a free app, Insight Timer, which I absolutely love. And, every day we would just send each other just a little thumbs up or a smiley face or, hey, I'm done. And after about a month,
mm,
it had become a habit. So we
yes.
didn't have to do the accountability anymore. But, it doesn't matter whether you're a coach or not, or what part of life you are in, how old you are. Having that accountability to get you started and to keep you going is absolutely wonderful. So it is, find a friend because I think we all know somebody else who could use help in getting started and staying motivated.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And having that, like I said, the friend, the check-ins, whatever
yeah,
sounds doable for you and in your
right,
situation. But it's important to also remember that we're not challenged in our, like, it's not just us that's being challenged. Like it says,
right.
with all the conversations that we have, I'm sure everybody you speak with as well, and myself included, they all seem to have, like, obviously it's individual issues, but
Yeah,
the dynamic of what we're experiencing is as a whole. And if we don't speak about it, like talking like this openly, then we
yeah,
don't know. We just think, oh, just me, and I'm just
right.
struggling.
Yeah,
Be open and, like I said, ask a friend, go and look for, okay, how can I get just a little help, just a
right.
little support, or can I just check in with you, just to have somebody to check in with. I mean, that
Right.
makes somebody feel really good that you are giving them that role and that responsibility. And
Yeah,
then in turn, they're most likely going to say, well, okay, well then do the same for me. And it just creates this bond. And like you're saying, then it becomes a habit. It's not like
right,
you have to do this forever.
right,
Yeah, it
right.
becomes part of your life. You just
Yep.
do it. It's you.
Yeah. And then you don't even have to think about it. And you've just, added a healthy habit to your life and to your friend's life, So,
100%. No, I love that. And I love this topic because it is
yeah.
so uplifting. And even taking that first step, in certain terms of your health, or fitness, or whatever it is
Mhm.
that is currently being a challenge to you, it starts to drift into other areas of life.
Right.
You feel confident about yourself because you took more steps this past month,
Right.
or you stuck with your stress management practice, and then all of a sudden, like it says, all these little things start to just open up, and you start to feel a little bit better, and maybe you want to take on another challenge, or
Hmm.
you're able to manage life a little bit better because life is already challenging enough.
Yeah.
So all this is not just about, again, go back to, it's not just about how you look anymore.
Yep.
Maybe when we were 20, sure, but now it's everything. It's,
Yeah. It's quality of life.
yeah. And everybody that's impacted by your example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So,
Yeah. So if our listeners want to learn more about you and your programs, where can they find you?
well, I have a website, and I will share my Instagram and Facebook accounts as well. So I post as much information as I can, and I'm open for messages if people have questions. I'm always happy to answer
Yeah.
questions. But the website is thesuperstarelite.com,
Mhm.
and I'm on Instagram at Kathy Pro Fitness, as well as Facebook, Kathy Pro Fitness. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, reach out, say hi, ask questions if you're dealing with something, or you want to ask something specific from this today's chat. I'm more than happy to answer, and I do respond to all messages personally. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Well, Kathy, we thank you for taking the time to join us today, and thank you for listening to the Fit News Podcast, and we will catch you next time.